We are here and we will begin shortly. Good evening, everyone. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio, every Monday night from 8 p.m. is the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
Too concerned about the time. Those of you who are watching the clock and sending us messages, you know yourselves if we are late, or well, if Spaggs is late. But no, not at all. We were both here on time. But as I always say, that we transition from one show to another, so you have to make sure that everything is good and sanitized in the studio, and that, you know, we are settled and our Facebook Live is set up, and that Sherwin has to make sure that everything I need is there, and so on and so forth. So sometimes it takes us a little time to get, just to get us settled a bit. And of course, we don't want to give you a live and then for you to hear all the happenings in the studios. So we wait until we're just about ready to go live. Good evening, and welcome to the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. It is Monday, the 23rd day of May in the year 2022. And we are here and excited to be here as always on a Monday night. We're still celebrating our 9th anniversary May 13, 2013 is when we started with the In the Spotlight radio show. And so for the month of May, we're just celebrating in no big special way per se. We'll celebrate big when we hit the decade milestone, 10 years on the air next year, God willing. But as always, we urge you to just remember us, extend the happy anniversary greetings to us, go to our page, like our page, follow us in the Spotlight Radio Show. We have a couple flyers on there speaking to our 9th anniversary. Just go there and say happy anniversary to us. So it's been 9 years already, over 250 programs, and I think that's excellent. We've had some really great folks come through the In the Spotlight Radio Show platform here on Q95, and those of you who sometimes choose to join us via Facebook, thank you and welcome. Let us just remind you of our social media platforms. We have the In the Spotlight Radio Show page. We have the group by the In the Spotlight Radio Show, so that's our ITS Radio Show fans. If you want to go there and become a fan, then we're excited for that. We have our YouTube channel, which is for Dinah F. Frampton, if you would like to subscribe. And I should also mention, I want to give Q95 some kudos there as well. They're also live on their Facebook page for In the Spotlight. In fact, last week, when I went and I looked back, I said, but wait, a lot of people are viewing on Q95's Facebook page as well. And I don't mind at all. Once you get to see or hear, listen, you know, that's all that matters. So whether you choose the In the Spotlight Radio Show page, which is my preference, of course, you also have the option to do the Q95 page as well. We have our Cash App, Spotlighters, if you choose to support us. We have our mobile banking, and if you wish to just call and say, I want to support, you know, please just contact me on 767-275-7565. We must give acknowledgements to Q95 FM radio, and I will always say that I have no interference with who I bring on this program and what they speak to. You know, once nobody says anything to get anybody in hot water. You know, Mr. G has been really good, and you know, I know of stories and situations where people interfere, you know, other places, but not here. As I said, you know, the last time I only got just a little clocks one time for going maybe too much over time, you know. But other than that, Mr. G does not ask me who is going to be your guest next week, Monday, the Monday after that, or anything like that. If I have a guest, he does not come back to say, why did you bring this person on my radio station? Ain't none of that happening. Sherwin is always there, ready and willing to help. Nikita, always willing to help, you know, the team here. Thank you for the support that you provide to the In the Spotlight radio show. Our water tonight is provided by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, and we thank them immensely for their support. I have not heard yet from my friend Steve, but once I do, myself and Spaggs will be getting dinner compliments the Great Old House. They also have Callaloo Restaurant, and let me tell you, don't forget, Roti Thursdays, you need to try. There's shrimp, there's beef, there's chicken, there's vegetable, there's, just name it, and you get it at the Callaloo House. Jordan Jerome, GK, listen, lots of love coming out to you, going out to you, GK, for your support. We're actually working on the shortened version, just a couple shortened video versions that we're doing specific to social media. We did 2 recordings on the weekend. Thank you, GK. You're a superstar. I really do appreciate you. All the friends and supporters of the show, Akim Low. I have not seen my flyer tonight, Akim, but all the same, you know, I always appreciate you when you come through. All right, so that is it on the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. We are getting ready. Our guest tonight is a member of parliament, a former opposition leader, the youngest, I was told, a man who has the banana industry as close to his core as it can get. His name is Hector Spaggs John. And you know, Hector is here tonight, and even last week, I was saying to Spaggs earlier on this evening that there are some people who think when persons like Hector Spaggs, John, a politician, like Mr. Martin last week, who were on, who is very vocal about certain things, and when they come on the program, that is going to be all about politics and giving people blows and all of that. I hope Afi Mate's program last week gave you an indication of how wrong you are. Mr. Mate spoke about his life story, and it was very, very deep. It was a deep conversation that we had. So don't think that just because people seem to be political, that it means they're coming on the program to be political. The In the Spotlight radio show is about talking about people's life stories, their life. If their life involves a significant aspect of politics, then so be it. If it's other things, then so be it. But they're coming here to speak about their life story. So do not try to preempt what my guests are going to be talking about or focusing on. And as I said, last week's program, I think, was a good example of how wrong some people can be most of the time. Asking what song is that? It's a song written by my guest. We'll tell you more in just a while. Enjoy some more. Yeah. get some more of this one a little later on in the program, but I really just like the vibes of that particular track there. Written by our guest. I thought we would start a little different this evening. Hector Spaggs, John, good evening to you.
Good evening, Diana. Good evening to your listeners of In the Spotlight. It's an honor to be here with you this evening, and I'm looking forward to having an excellent show with you tonight.
All right. Anybody in particular you want to big up?
Yes, I just want to big up everybody listening to the show. Family in Salisbury, New York, New Jersey, Canada, England, Trinidad, St. Croix, Texas, St. Thomas, all over the world. Those in Salisbury, Kulibistri, and Monrachet. My colleagues in the United Workers' Party, listeners as well, just want to tell them thank you for the support, each and every one of you at home and abroad. Thank you, my home, my brothers and sisters. I have 11 siblings, so I have to call I cannot call names. I just have to see where they are right now, and just want to thank them for the support. And tonight, listening, and we'll have a very good show, good discussion on with really Spaggs, with Hector, John, and tonight I'm all yours.
You're all mine, all ours.
Ours, everybody.
Hector, just before we actually started the program, I was making the point that last week when I had on Mr. Afimate on the program, leading up to the program, you know, under one of the Facebook posts, somebody felt that, oh, it's going to be all this manager is going to come and talk his usual nonsense and politics and whatever the case is. And I was a little disturbed by that. I was disturbed because this program, it's been on the air for 9 years. I've never had any challenges with anybody coming in the seat and putting me in any trouble or causing any problems. People have come here and they've come to share their life story and whatever makes up their life story. So I was a little disappointed, you know, with that comment by that particular person. And even you coming on tonight, somebody said to me, oh, well, it's now they'll say you're part of the opposition because, and I'm like, what? No, I host a program, I schedule guests come on, and that's just what it is. Stop trying to do that. This is not what this is about.
I'm with you 100% in that, for Diana. I think you created that platform to give everybody an opportunity to showcase themselves and their talents. And I've been following In the Spotlight since it started, and I've never seen anybody come in there and even making you feel uncomfortable. I think the program is a very good one, and you bring guests from every walk of life, you know, and a lot of us learn from these guests you have had over the years, and I hope that people will. I learned from Afi last week, and I hope that other people will learn something from me and know more about me before judging me, you know. And I think In the Spotlight create that platform that we can come back and come there, sit back and relax and just speak, you know.
Have a conversation.
Nice.
All we're missing is we're not drinking hard liquor, but we are more talking to water, right?
Sympathies to the family of Mr. Gabriel.
Yes, indeed, to Jenny and the rest of the family. You know, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you for that. I'm reminding of that there. You see, that's the person you are. You understand? Spaggs, so we have to talk about, we said hello, we'll get into Spaggs in a while.
But before we start for that,
yes,
for the community of Salisbury, I just want to come from the Melon City and not bring your melon.
Spaggs. Oh my goodness. That's a huge melon.
He came from the farm of Mr. Gilbert Frederick. I tell him I'm going to In the Spotlight. I went to the melon. I said, take that frame enough for Diana. So.
Oh, Mr. Frederick, thank you so much. I hope it's as sweet as, what can I say, as sweet as?
Bowie.
Salisbury people. Hector, thank you for that, and thank you, Mr. Frederick, for that. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Not very often people come here bearing gifts, so when I get gifts, I smile. Yes, Hector, so, you know, I was saying we're going to get to know you a bit. I'm interested in the nickname and all of that. But that song that, you know, we started off with this evening, This song has such a sweet melody and such great lyrics. You wrote this song. Give us the backstory on this.
In 2001, I think there was the Business House competition, and we decided to enter the competition, and I had the song. But we had a production team at the BMC. So you had Mr. Tindira, Mr. Errol Emmanuel, and the singer, Dr. Davidson, Jumbo Park Lloyd, and myself. So I wrote the song, and then we polished it up, and Mr. The same young man he had on the show some time ago, Delso Moving, did the arrangement and the music behind it.
Oh.
And we won that competition, and it was.
Who did you beat?
Buple.
You beat Buple?
Buple, Alex Bruno, he was
Alex Power.
and some others that year. And it was a very good, nice competition right there. It was on the riverside.
I remember that.
Yes, and people like, there's one who passed on, Cheryl Abraham from Marigot. That's Buenka. You had Buenka on the show some time ago. His sister that died recently, she was one of the backups on that song. She with Patricia Fontaine, there's Choki, Lorestina, Warrington, that's Tina, was on it. And then Royce Coffee was featured highly in the boat, clearing the boat, taking the water from the boat. Yes, when the ship he was saying, but he was saying, keep me afloat, and that song, it was a very big song that year, and it was being discussed on the radio. That song could have gone far it was in the national competition. So I am thankful that I had the people like Mr. Emmanuel, Mr. Tindura, Dave Lloyd, who brought up the song recently. When I sent it to him, he told me I brought back some fun memories. You know? So Danny Logie and all the others, I sent it to them because we worked together at the BMC for a very long time. So we understood the banana industry and the importance of it, the role it played in the rural community, and we could feel that vibes. We knew what was going on at that time and the challenges that we were having.
And you have over 16 years experience in the banana industry, and we're going to talk about more about that during the course of the program. But just remind us of a couple lyrics in that song. Do you remember it at all, or do I have to play it?
I have stuck with you for so long, gave you strength so you carry on, molded you to what you are, and protected you from financial disaster. I have raised your children, educate all of them, and for me, that was no big problem. But today, I'm in difficulties, but no one seems to hear my plea. Though I struggle to keep afloat, but you let it sink in the boat. I'm appealing to my country. Help me please, get out of this misery. Here
Just so you know, Spaggs, just so you know, there's a few people here. Sabina, good evening to you, my darling. Didi Easter, a few other folks are here. Hi, Omar, good evening, David. A few other folks are Carlene and Carlene and others. They're having some good fun on your account there. So next year they say you're competing in the Calypso competition and your name is the Mighty Spaghetti.
They don't call it spaghetti, for sure.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Spaggs, spaghetti, Mighty Spaghetti. Good
Spaggs come from spaghetti though.
Spaggs come from spaghetti. Let's talk about that. Let's get the program running. Spaggs, yes. So, Hector Spaggs, John. People call you Spaggs. People call you Spaggs quite a bit. Oh, yes. People call you Spaggs quite a bit. That's your nickname.
Yes.
Where did it come from?
When I left high school, I was very skinny. Skinny spaghetti.
The Mexo?
Mexo. Real Mexo. And I worked construction with my brothers. around that time. That I was also playing youth cricket. And I worked construction with my brothers, and we were building a house. And my eldest brother, he passed away 2018. And he told us about, said, 4 of us young boys come up and to drive. And he nailed $20 on the rafters and told us, anybody driving that 4-inch nail, that's theirs.
Ah.
And everybody tried, we all tried. So when I took the hammer, it's slim. One of the, right, as I knock it out, the nail bent. The guy said, his name is PH, Philmon Scotland. Mr. Make like a spaghetti. And from there, everybody started calling me Spaghetti, and then it was shortened into Spaggs.
It just shortened into Spaggs.
Yeah, the name stayed with me, and I accepted it, and it's just my nickname.
Okay, well, I think Spaggs is acceptable, the spaghetti. So if you had to continue spaghetti, that would be a problem.
Yeah, so we just got out to Spaggs, and I'm comfortable with it, and all my friends call me that, close friends. My nieces and nephews call me Uncle Spaggs. So everybody in the family call me Spaggs.
Everybody calls you Spaggs.
Yeah.
All right, and most likely I'll be calling you Spaggs because of the program.
No, I have no problem with that.
All right, because we're sitting at the bar having a drink of tomato water.
All right, for sure.
All right, Spaggs, so we know if see your bagay look on it. What bar we?
100% pro.
Tell us about bar we first and foremost.
Yes, I was born in Salisbury, in the hands of my great grandmother. And that was some months ago. But that community has molded me into who I am right now. A lot of people get to know me recently through the politics thing, but a lot of people don't know me coming from the church background, very community oriented. That's how I see myself as a community organizer. Also family as well. I see family as the basic unit of society, and I'm very big on family. I have a lot of love for my family, and they have a lot of love for me. And I try to take that love that I get from my family and spread it out. You know, that's how you move from the family unit at the home and into the society. So I grew up in a society where everybody look out for you. You know, the people say it's a Macfield, it is a Mole. So everybody know you by your family, and they give you that level of respect, and you in turn have to respect them. You cannot walk on the street and not say hi. You know, just yesterday was my sister's home. Every Sunday since about 2014. Every Sunday we have my sister home for lunch. Everybody bring a potluck, and we all go there and sit down and we chill out and speak. You know, and that environment helps you grow. You go out there, your children grow up with everybody, play with everybody. So you have that type of setting that help the community see you as a united force, and they at least that respect as well. Because not only stays in the yard, but it goes outside of the yard. And you, as I was saying to my sisters and them, my preschool teacher, her mother died recently. She's the aunt of Carol Shillingford. My preschool, she now lives in Mopak, Teacher Eunice. I still call her Teacher Eunice. Big man like me, I don't that's the level of respect I have for her. And that's how you were raised. You know, and coming from Salisbury, you had that level of people always tell you to be respectful, but be proud of who you are. You know, so I went to school in St. Joseph ITSS. They used to call us we from the hill up there as well, you know. But everybody around you, they were very productive, hardworking. So you get that appreciation for hard work. You know, when I left school, my dad told me about education. But I was with my brothers, and then after I left high school, I started to play youth cricket for Dominic. I played youth cricket for 3 years. And I'll give you a joke that happened in St. Lucia. We talk about the youth cricket in 1989. We were there, and it was raining. But before St. Lucia, in St. Vincent in 88, we were leaving St. Vincent, and Norbert Philip was the manager and asked everybody for their passports, where's your passport and things. So a few of the guys put their passports in their bag. But and my passport, my form, everything are ready to go to bring to immigration. So Norbert Philip saw my thing and my passport and the form, everything, and he took it from my hand. I told everybody, give your passports to Hector John. Make sure he take care of the passport. And from there, I began to see leadership. Norbert Philip was one of the first persons that I recognized that in me, and I always thankful the opportunity that he gave me. And when we went to St. Lucia, the same thing, before we left for Dominica, Norbert Philip said, make sure Hector John has your passports and everything is in order. When we went to St. Lucia, we had no cricket, it was raining. And we were home and everything. So there was a Catholic church close by, we lived in La Cleary. And you know, young ladies passing us at the trouble, young ladies. So there was this particular young lady that invited me to the.
She invited you?
Yeah, to the beach.
To church? To
the beach. Well, I went to the church already, I'm a church boy, so I went to the church. And then we went down to the beach, it was the VG Beach by the airport. We went there. Some St. Lucian guys came there with a 2x4 in their hands. These guys
to beat you up.
They said, Pierce, book Dominica for a family, all I mean.
Oh
So
my
I was like, but I said, no, I didn't come there for that. The plane was landing on the runway. I was faster than the plane.
You ran away.
I ran back to the guest house. And but when I went back there, I had maybe 4 plates of food. Now we make sure everybody, Spaggs not there, make sure they have food for you. Because you were showing leadership at that time. And I appreciated that. But the same night I went back, the same afternoon I went back on the same beach.
You went to look for the girl?
We went back.
Oh, you went back.
And next morning the guys came there, but we had left for Dominica.
You're brave. You're too brave.
John Oden still trouble me about that every day. You're the empire with us on top.
You're a brave young man, but I guess that's what it is when you like girls.
No, well,
too much girls.
Not too much girls, yeah. So
you had a girlfriend in Dominica at the time?
No, I was still young. I was just about 17, 18.
Yes, but we're going to come back to that spot. We need to go back a bit. We need to go back a bit to Bowie.
Yes.
So we hear a lot about Salisbury being referred to as Bowie, and we'll make the way back to youth cricket and all of that. We hear Salisbury being referred to as Bowie. Where did that name come from? What is that about?
Bowie was the Carib name for Salisbury. Barroui. That was the Carib name for Salisbury. But the French, when the French came, they say Bowie. But we got the English name Salisbury from the, I think the county of Wiltshire in England, where that name came out. So a lot of people from that area came to Salisbury, so that name we got the name Salisbury. But Bowie is more or less, Bowie was this Carib name, and then Bowie became the French name, B-A-W-I. Some people spell it B-A-W-I-E.
Okay.
So that's where the Bowie comes from.
What's so special about Bowie? What's special about Bowie?
Salisbury was one of the last communities in Dominica, on the west coast especially, with thatch houses. And most other people lived on the ridge. So that first ridge you have going up the village. But the community expanded when the people from the village bought all the estates around them. So you had the Grand Savannah estate that was owned by the Schillenfords. You had the Salisbury estate, where just after the Catholic Church, and then you have the Washington estate, Upper Salisbury called Washington, we call it Lahore right now. So the community, people in the community bought all the land. So they empower themselves.
Okay.
So then they expanded into Car Home, into Layu Park, into Syndicate. So everybody was hardworking and thriving. So that's where the proudness and the boldness, something had happened when I went to high school. They were saying that people instead of competing, everybody building a big house. But everybody was building their homes and paying the loans, and that is where you have that independence, that drive, and they instill that in you for very, very young age. I started working at the age of 20. At the age of 25, I bought my land. At the age of 40, when I built, because that is what you will, as a young person, by the time you're 25, you don't have anything to start calling malprofit. So you have that drive in the community, and that's why we have that level of proudness, independent, hardworking, unity, that drive, and that's what makes us a community. And I would like to see that not only in Salisbury, you had that drive in Monroe at Coolidge Street. That's some drive. That was in St. Joseph before. Before, that's why you had Roseau, Portsmouth, Granby City, and St. Joe City. St. Joe was more advanced than St. Salisbury. St. Joe had everything. Everything. You had to go to church in St. Joseph, you had to go to school in St. Joseph, you know, but then it went back. But I think it's the drive, the hard-working people of Salisbury and the legacy that they left for you, and you have to in turn do good in the community and to empower your people.
Somebody's saying here, I think Bowie has the strongest sense of community in Dominica.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I agree with that. Kudme, we still do Kudme in Salisbury. I think as well, that group spirit, I came from being part of one of the most vibrant church groups in Dominica at the time, the Salisbury Catholic Youth Movement, and everybody in that group for Diana right now has done something positive in their lives. So you had that group spirit before. You had the Live Wire in Salisbury that was a very powerful group in the community. I headed the Salisbury CYM for about 10 years, and then you had the Salisbury Improvement Committee, where I headed that group for about 6 years as well. So you were always part of the community. So going into politics was a natural step into the right direction in terms of continuing to provide that level of support for your community as a community organizer and giving back to your community. That's why I see myself, and that's why Salisbury is so, although the politics is divided a bit, it has changed a bit, and I know we can do better. We are doing better. We are trying to get the young men and women back involved in sports and more creative activities, you know, to get them playing more and uniting, building camaraderie, building relationship, and that will help build the community. You know, I also always tell the young boys in the village, never have an enemy in your community. And one of them reminded me of that recently. I told him, why should you be fighting with your brothers and sisters in your own community? If you go out of the community, something happened to you, maybe one of them have to say, protect you and save you. And one of them had that experience, and you're beginning to impact on your peers and people in your community positively, because your parents, your siblings, the elderly in the community impacted that positive vibes on you, so you want to in turn pass it on not only to your children but the community by extension.
Spaggs, you sit here with us this evening. Persons from your community would know your parents and your family and so on, but we don't. Yeah. So we may not know them personally, but at least tell us a bit about your parents and your family line.
My mom passed away suddenly in 2016.
Suddenly?
Yes, suddenly.
So she was not ill?
No, she had diabetes, I think, but
the
it was
usual,
not nothing. The usual, yes.
Suspects.
She fell ill in the morning and she died the evening at the hospital. And my dad passed away 2019. I have
tell me about them. I want to know about them.
Yes, my father was a real farmer and family man as well. And everybody know my father will tell you he was one of the most boastful individuals in the community. I'll give you a joke that happened. A gentleman in Coolidge told me, and your father was boastful and he was 100 years old, I think.
You say boaster, not boaster.
Boaster. Because Macfield de boaster. Macfield in the cat posh, made in the second posh. He had 4 pockets, but he had 5 advantages. But he was a very nice man. And the thing about my father, he would, when he come from church, he would walk up the village every Sunday and greet all his friends and family. He would go to Monroe, Coolidge Street, and do the same thing. And there was a lady in Coolidge that reminded me and told me once, do not love anybody in Coolidge Street. So I told her why. So my Macfield was, everybody in Coolidge is family. But also, he was her quadrille partner. When he comes to Coolidge Street and play cricket, he would play dance quadrille after he go home and thing. And he was that type of individual.
So he was into culture.
Yes, into
farming culture.
Yes, he was. He loved fishing as well. He would make the oars for the boats as well. When they go out there to pick up their fish spots and whatnot. And I would go down that at the age of about 7, 8. My brother and I, another young guy they call Roy, younger brother Reed, we would go down to pick up the fish. A place they call Titus, where they build in the the castle that started and something happened. Right, that was our playground. So I was going there about 7 years old to pick up fish, 7, 8,
Wow.
from my dad and my uncle, granduncle. They both passed on. So that was my family, and on my mother's side, I didn't meet my grandfather. I met my grandmother, but she was in Trinidad. She was one of them who went was going to England, and when they were in Trinidad, they stayed.
Oh.
So I have uncles and aunties in Trinidad. My grandmother passed away 2002 in Trinidad. So I have 2 uncles, 2 aunties, and a whole set of cousins in Trinidad. Yeah,
Okay.
but I also came from a cricket family. My father had 4 boys, 5 boys, sorry, and 4 of us represented Dominic at youth on different levels. Phil John, who went further, played for Winwards. Reginald John is a contractor. He made the national team, and myself and Hillary John Reed played for the youth team. So that's where family is. And then my sisters are all older than me, so I see them as my mothers as well. So I was raised by women. And something for Diana, I was blessed if I had 2 mothers. My stepmother and my mother raised me. And people, when my stepmother passed away, people even thought she was my mom, because I was always at the home and thing. I was never seen as an outside child. And that is what I'm thankful for, because my siblings never see me as they have brother. They see me as their brother.
We spoke about that last week as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
so my siblings by my mother as well is 3 of us. My mother had 4 of us, 4 boys. And then on my father's side, I have, so now I have about 11 siblings, 6 brothers and 5 sisters.
5 sisters.
Yes.
Tell me about mommy.
My mother was a very reserved, quiet lady. She did farming as well, but she was always at the market. Every Friday would have met her at the market close to the Mount Prospect people. So that was a people and a lady from Granby, Victoria, right there by the fisheries. She had some good friends. She was a very nice, warm, quiet lady. And we continue to miss her, but she's in a better place. But she loved her children, and she always wanted us to have something. She'd always tell me, look, something, tell me, maybe something leave.
Save it.
Save it,
Yes.
and that's what helped build you, and for then a lot of us, we forget where we come from. A lot of us, we come from humble beginnings, some of us, but the most priceless thing in life, to me, is family. The love at home. If you do anything and you do not have the support of your family, best you leave it alone. When I got into politics, we'll talk about it a bit later, but this family was behind me 100%. So anything that you do, family is behind you. I remember one time when I joined the CYM, that time in the 80s, you had A&Ms and this band coming to Salisbury play Night Force every Sunday. So I asked my dad one time, Dad, give me $5 and I found out you pay $3 at the door and you buy a soft drink. My dad tell me no, because every time we're going down to Bruno's Hall. But the Monday I came from a CYM meeting, and I told him I need $30 to buy a shirt. Yes. And he just gave it to me right away.
Because it was for the church. It was something that involved the church.
Something positive. And that stayed with me. He told me, look, the $30 for to buy a shirt.
With no hesitation.
No hesitation. But the $5 tell me no.
No, you're not going to Bruno's. What is it, Bruno's Hall?
Bruno's Hall, yeah. Lima Sada. So it shows that this type of values they were instilling in
Yes.
do something positive, and to help, to give back as well, because you have to be an example for your nieces and nephews in the family, because I call all my brothers and sisters brother. I can't call them by the name. That is the level of respect you have. Bro or sis, big sis or whatnot, or sister Millie or sister Auntie Peen. That we call them by those names because we have that level of respect for them.
That reminds me of one of my brother's Kurt. By mother on my mother's side, and. He will not. I can't remember when last he called me by my name. His sister, my other younger brother Lyndon, his sister, and I picked it up too. When I speak to them, I say brother. Yes. And I think it's a nice
right. So
to communicate it.
You're right, and you spread it out in the community as well, because when meet other people, you call them by Mr. This or this person, or if it's a nickname, you call them by, but you have that level of respect for them, and that is what helps mold you. And I think the Salisbury CYM was my platform in terms of developing my interpersonal skills.
How so, Hector?
Because CYM, the Catholic Church CYM at the time, created a platform for young people to empower themselves and build relationship. And that, not only within the church setting, but as part of CYM, you had to go out there and do different things, go and do barber jobs in the community. So you go by the elderlies, you'll clean the house, but you'll connect with them. You'll build relationships. You go out there to different communities and meet other groups, you know, and play, and you'll have competition in the different vicariates, having competition, youth groups having activities, you're having Feast of Christ the King, go to different activities on the beach, you know, young people alone, and your parents will let you go. Since it's CYM, Usali, because they know the atmosphere is respectful,
it's safe, it's respectful.
Right. So that's what was building camaraderie. But then I went to maybe two Catholic church I didn't go to when I was in CYM, is the one in Bacatel and the one in Penville. Every other church we visited, because we were going out there every month. We go out to a different church. You know, people like Hector Nation, Connie Joseph. I have to call Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob, I should be listening in St. Croix. Murphy, Frederick. That's a whole group. Everybody did something for themselves, empower themselves. But when I was in that group, I get a little pressure as well. Guys were calling me Makume or priest, and that's where you have peer pressure. But then that's where you have to fight it. I was never a drinker. I am still not a drinker. And I studied, because when I was in CYM, maybe I drink beers. But I started drinking alcohol when I was 20, had alcohol when I was 21. Nobody forced me to do what I don't want to do. And that is what you picked up from your family as well. You see your brothers and sisters not smoking, your brothers and sisters not drinking, carrying themselves decently, not cursing. You have that as well. You know, because you will be, if you're in the family and you've not been respectful, people see you as a black sheep, you know, and these are the type of things that you will learn as well, and it stayed with you, you know, and the community as well.
So they call you Makume?
Yeah, man, looking up names, man, because you because
sorry, I have to come back on that one.
because you were not I was always a troublesome one, the troublesome one, loud one, but not the one that will come and get into negative things. I was always the loud one, troublesome one, and yeah, so those names came in. But over CYM, I remember Sister Anita telling me that when she was in, good evening to Sister Anita, when she was in St. Vincent as a teacher, she told us she used CYM, Salisbury CYM as her example as a vibrant youth group. We were a vibrant group for about 25 years. Very vibrant, very involved. And when they decided to break the CYMs, a priest called me a renegade because I was totally against it, because I understood the value of that core group within the youth setting. So a lot of young people look up to that group or aspire to be a member of CYM. But when you break it and make everything evil, it loses the value on the young people, right? So you had that core group that was pulling people, young people. So anytime we have activities, no matter where we are, if it's 25 strong we are, and we have activities, you'll have 50, 60 young people coming around, because they know since it's organized by CYM, they will be there. Our parents will give us a lot of support. Every parent of a member of CYM would support us, would come to our activities or whatnot. If we have shows, if we have anything, they will support. If we have to bring every fourth Sunday, we would sing in church. I was a choir boy as well. CYM would sing in church.
Okay, well, they had a reason.
Right. So we had to bring our offertory in church, and our parents would make sure that we have the best offertory. So these are the type of things.
So it was almost like a competitive vibe going on.
But something we had for them that was very important to me is that we had our Lenten retreat. Every Palm Sunday, we had to give somebody lunch. Okay. We as members of CYM, we had to, so some of us had the person that we had to give lunch maybe for 10, 15 years, giving them lunch every time. Sometimes we give them lunch all the time, but that was. Would
it be somebody in need? Or?
Yes, somebody in need, an elderly. Okay. Yeah, and that was we did that as a group. So all that build that kind of that relationship with the elderly. It also instills values in you to look out for others in need, you know, and it's not just walking on a person and street and say hello, but you have when you go there as well, you have to sit down and have a chat with them and you know, spend 2-3 hours with them. I would go by there's a lady named Malisha I used to bring lunch for, and then sit there with her this Sunday afternoon and just chat.
And stories.
Yeah.
Stories. But before we move on from the church, the CYM and so on, so did you ever had any interest in the priesthood? That's one.
Yeah.
And secondly, are you still very active in the Catholic Church?
The first one, no, I was never interested in that aspect of it. I was very interested in the values it instilled in me, and how I could help others. So I was a youth advocate at that time. That's why I ended on the National Youth Council. I was very much involved. No, I am not that active anymore for then, because the Catholic Church instilled a lot of values in me, and during that time growing, they were very consistent with the message. The leaders of the church would speak on anything and everything they think they should speak on, and over the years that have diminished and compromised. It was sad. I always say I'm a proud Catholic, but proud but disappointed Catholic. Not that I hate my church, but I would like to see them speak more openly on the issues affecting, not to be selective, but speak on issues affecting us as a people. I think the time we had Bishop Bogard, and then there's another bishop that came from the States. His name, I'm not coming. And they would speak on every issue. The priests would speak on every issue. We go to youth rallies and festivals, and we would get this type of messaging. You have people like Father Celsus Ogis, you had Father Moody, Father Joe, Father Thomas at the time, Father Lafleur, all these people who instilling values in you, and some of them are still there. But these values, you're not hearing them speaking on them anymore. And so that's why I don't hate my church or leave my church, but I just back. Father Cohen and I had a good discussion on that recently. Even Monsignor John, sometime we were traveling to St. Lucia together, and we had a discussion about why. I told him why, and he told come back to your church and everything, but I'm looking at it still.
You're looking at it still.
See, I would like to see more, but should speak more openly on the issues. Be more open what you did before, because you instill values in me, and these values are still there. I'm very consistent, so I want my church to be consistent on dealing with these issues, not only my church, but others in society, to be consistent on the issues, not be selective, and to speak on when they want to, and not when the community wants it. Right now we have a lot of murders among young people. How many people we have who publicly condemn this killing of our young men, you know, and see how we can bring them to right order? How many of us say, let us organize a retreat for young men, and to just come and see them and talk and provide leadership. You know, a lot of them is just on the street, you know. We went to Parliament, we passed laws to make smoking one slave good for them, but how do we bring them, get them employed, get them training, make them useful and productive members of society? And that is what I'd like to see. This is the type of discussion I'd like to see us engage our young people and let them feel part and parcel of it. A lot of them love music. How do we create the platform for them to express themselves? And these are the type of things I would like to see happen, and from not just as a politician, but as a community-oriented individual. Let's
talk about, you've given us a sense of what life was like growing up in Salisbury, in Bowie.
Yes.
Let us talk about school. You know, what was school life like? Take us through your education process or journey.
Yes, school, I went to Salisbury Primary School. Then I moved to it was at the time St. Joseph campus of the Dominica Grammar School. And then it changed. I left in 87, then it changed into St. Joseph Secondary School, and now it is the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. Going to school there, then was a great experience, because it was, I came in the second year when the school started in St. Joseph. The campus was led by Mrs. Jennifer Lafont, Wallace Lafont. She was the principal at that time when I got into school. And it was a very good experience for me because I got the opportunity to play sports as well and got involved in other things. Shaky was Vaughn James.
The Calypsonian.
The Calypsonian was my sports teacher when I came in the first time. So every around the carnival time we would get some calypsos. And when I left, interestingly, Rabbit was my sports teacher for 4 years, a sports and music teacher. So I had these two gentlemen as my teachers at the school. And something else that really, my experience was, is that they would send us to school to play sports in Portsmouth against PSS. And if our sports teacher come, they would tell us that Mr. Fabian, he died now, was our sports teacher in Portsmouth. He was the sports teacher at PSS, and he was in charge of everybody, and nobody disrespected him. And he was a very nice man. He died some years ago, I think, of cancer. And I will always remember him because he was the person that would come there, not because we played against PSS, that he would support only PSS, but he would support cricket in general and sports and empowering young people. And that's where I got to know the Jerome Romain, the Don Williams, and these people from like Curtis Sylvester, Macaulay John, and those people from the Portsmouth, Elton Edwards, I think he was a keeper, and there's Charles Walters or Charles Martin. Charles Walters was the older one. Charles Martin is a police officer. And we all played together. But at ITSS, you had that competition between the villages, Salisbury, St. Joseph, Maho, Dubla, because all our footballers came from the Dubla area, and most of the cricketers came from St. Joseph. So I played cricket. I had to stay back a bit. So you had Hilary Shillingford, you had Pelham John Baptiste, Kurt Pierre. All these guys were playing ahead of me because they were bigger than me, and also the guys could maybe pull themselves and things. But Hilary was captain for a time. He was one of the quickest bowlers at the time.
And remember, you were spaghetti.
You're right. So that time, but you had, but you had the opportunity to play with them. And Pelham John Baptiste, then he moved on to play the national. Something further in that as well that I forgot is, in my family, you had that level of respect. So you had Hughes Phil John, who was the national cricketer. Then you had Reginald John, my brother. Then Pelham John Baptiste, their family, he was a cousin. He was not my cousin, but he was part of the family. Pelham could touch Reggie Gears or Useful Gears, I couldn't touch it.
Imagine that.
Because he was older than me, and I had to show that respect.
Yes.
So when Pelham, myself and Reed had to ask to touch the gears, but Pelham could just come and take the gears. You know, and so you had to respect, even though he's not our brother, but it was a level of respect that was there. He was part of the family, and so you have to respect that. You know, so you have to wait your turn.
So was it within that school system while at the St. Joseph?
Yes,
Isaiah Thomas School that you developed your sports skills? And talk to us a bit about some of the sports that you are able to.
Well, cricket was my main.
Cricket.
Yeah, cricket, because I was too slim for football. Somebody tried to break my leg in first form. One of the guys, I remember that clearly, and I said, that one is not for me. But I used to run a lot cross country as well. I would always get my house. I was in Grandma's house. It's now called Wallace House, Red House. I would always get my house at a point running across country.
At least for running.
For running.
Yes.
So I think that was a very big thing at the time when you had the house competition at the school. It also built for the camaraderie as well. There's a lot of people I went to school with. I'm still good friends with them. I still respect them. A lot of my teachers. There's a teacher that taught me at high school and is still at the school teaching. I left high school many years ago and he's still at the school, Mr. Breda. And I still call him Mr. Breda, you know, because that is the level of respect I have for not only for my teachers but for people who I respect. And I think respect is the two-way street. They respect me as well, so I have to show that respect to them as well. And you also have to create that atmosphere among young people, as people who are around you, seeing you respecting the teachers as well. They will in turn see, if Hector can respect that teacher, I should be able to respect them as well. And you have to set example, lead by example as well, and that is in me. The football, but the singing as well. Maybe I started in CYM, but I sang a lot at school as well.
Well, you surprised me with you singing earlier on of the song, you know?
Yeah, we did weddings and everything, youth competitions around, Catholic youth competitions around the island. We would always go there and sing every fourth Sunday. We were in charge of the of mass, and we would be doing singing, doing commentary, reading, and choir and everything, offertory. So I was involved in that. So yeah, so I sang a little. That's why I Levi Dominic. I wrote that one as well. Yeah. So
we'll find it.
We'll find it. Yeah. So so that's where the singing came. So when I left ITSS, as I said, I played cricket, youth cricket. Then after youth cricket, I had to find employment, and I applied 4 places. Everybody called me.
So that was after youth
cricket. So it's about 2089, 90.
Okay, so pause. You earlier on told us in relation to youth cricket, you did do some travels.
Yes, we went to, in 88 we went to St. Vincent, 89 in St. Lucia, 90 we played here.
Was it as part of a national team?
A national team.
Okay.
Yes.
So you played cricket for Dominica.
Yes.
At the national youth level.
At youth level.
Okay, so why you didn't progress?
Well, I played a lot, you know, but I never got the opportunity to make the national team because they had I was
too many that were better than you.
Yes, I was a bowler, like left arm bowler. So you had Roy Marshall, you had Curtis John Baptist, Jovan Etienne, and also Mervyn Duran. They all bowled the same thing, and they were there already. Some of them they all made Windward Island, so it was a challenge for me to make national team. So in 89, 90 I applied for, but the biggest joke is that I applied to be a police officer. Meg me, you know. But yeah. I was always the neatly dressed, always that type of person. So everybody see that in me. So people encouraged me to join the police force.
So after school,
yes,
school ended.
In 87, I started working with my brothers, construction.
Okay.
I played cricket as well. Right. So, but I didn't go to no gainful employment as yet.
Okay.
Right. So. It's in around 89, 90, I started looking for
work to do.
Yeah, work to do. And because the construction thing wasn't for me. I did the hot sun, that wasn't my thing. I painted it. I painted my sister's house first and then a house in Nero, but construction wasn't for me. So I applied to the police force, me, applied. I taught the exams. And yeah, this is what is very interesting.
The theory, man.
Yes.
Yes,
theory.
Okay.
Right. So when I came there for the interview, my countryman from Salisbury, he's my neighbor right now. So when I came in, the test, they told me I took the exam, and when they weighed me, I was too light. So
oh my God, Spaggs, please don't allow me to be so scandalous on the program.
I was too light.
You were too light.
Featherweight. So they told me come back. You taught the exam, but come back in 6 months. I think Mr. Bertrand was he weighed me, and Mr. Valerie, I think retired.
So how many pounds were you off, or kilograms, whatever they were giving?
About 5 pounds.
About 5 pounds.
They told me come back in 6 months' time.
They said you to put on some weight.
But I would have, somebody told me you would have drunk some water. I didn't know the technical time.
Oh, you almost stopped doing that to me.
But my neighbor now, he's my neighbor in business. I should listen right now.
Oh my God.
He's environmental health officer, Mr. Macpherson. Morrison Macpherson. He was short. He was too short.
He was too short and you were too light.
We are neighbors now, you know. Next door neighbors. But it was I think it was a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
I got into what I loved.
So wait.
Yeah.
Let us pause a little bit. So they told you come back in 6 months.
Yes.
So you left the interview, they weighed you and all of that. They told you come back in 6 months. What were you thinking when you were walking out the door?
I said, man, I have to go and put on some weight and go and run and maybe eat some. Well, I'm not a heavy eater, so I have to go and eat some food,
So that would be a problem.
That would be a problem. I always not being slimmer and thing.
So when did you realize, hey, forget those guys, I'm not going to do that?
No, I got calls. I think I got a call from the BMC right away, soon around that same time.
Okay.
So they were doing training for
to forget police.
Right, quality assessors. And I think we went to Laplane, the agricultural station, to do some trainings and whatnot. And by the Valentine's Day in 1990, they called me. I started working at the boxing plant in Hillsborough with Mrs. Joanna Bruno. I think she's maybe listening right now. She's still alive. And then I worked my coach with Claudette Detus. She passed away. Detus was the sister of Dr. Hendricks Paul. And I worked with them for a while. Then I went to Granby. I worked with Valda George, very nice lady. And Asa Banton mother was there as well, Janet. I met Asa Banton, little boy in Granby. And he was with there. Motrina Dangaben, Dissima Morancy, Thomas Melo, these people I worked with in Granby. And in July, somebody was going to leave at the DBMC, and Mr. Osborne Baron brought me in. He was in charge of the quality assessors. He's a doctor right now, and he brought me in DBMC, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of my involvement in working with people and for people.
And we're going to talk about that some more. Let's just take a quick break. Let Spaggs have some topic of water, and we're going to come right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. I'm seeing one of my biggest fans saying, how can anyone not like In the Spotlight? I don't think they don't like it. I don't think there are many people who don't, but if there are, well, you know, it's quite a sad situation.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. On Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
is the time in the studios here at Q95 FM radio. I really like this song. I really like the vibe of it. And, you know, I was saying to Hector earlier on, has he ever written any other calypsos? And if he hasn't, he should try at it again.
Yeah, I think I will go at it. Some people called me to just use my talents and skills to do some more. But maybe the energy was not there, never feeling the vibes and things. I wanted to do something because I started some and never completed them. But that's the only one that I really worked hard on.
Leve Dominique, Ise Yakawadi, Leve Dominique, Pakiteli Tombe, and the Twilight Pool, Leve Dominique no. Music tribute there to Dominica, and I was saying that you should write more calypso, but you should write more like this.
No, this one I have a lot more. I have about 15. I'm looking at doing a yes, I'm looking at doing a cultural preservation project. I'm looking at doing the 15 songs, not only doing the audio, but also doing the lyrics, the text, doing a few videos, and also doing a small documentary, and putting on a jump drive. That is my project I want to do. I have done an estimate. It may cost me about $25,000 to $30,000, but I want to do a nice package.
Write your project and get some funding for
yes,
that. Hector Spaggs, John. So this song, tell us about this song.
This song in 1997 was Heritage Day in Salisbury. So I went to Trinidad to see my granny, and she told me to speak Patois to her, and we just there chatting, and I just started writing.
You started writing that song?
Yes, I wrote that song in Trinidad.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, in the summer of '97. I went to see my granny, and that's the last time I saw her. So since I come to Trinidad, it's only Patois she wanted to speak with her.
So is that what inspired you to write that?
Yes, it was Heritage in Dominica, but that inspired me when I went down there, started speaking Patois. I just sit down there and started writing, and then I just continued. Before I left Trinidad, I had that song.
You had a song, this song right here.
Yes.
Who's doing the vocals?
Bernadette Ambo Vidal.
Okay.
She's a teacher at Pioneer.
I think I've heard the name.
Yes. What happened? CYM sang that song during the Heritage Day in Salisbury in 1997. That's where Heritage Day was, and we sang that song. But she did the recording in 2000, I think in '99. Yes, I was in Taiwan at that time, around Independence time when she did that recording. And in 2001, I think she sang it at the World Creole Music Festival.
Oh.
Yes, so
Beautiful. So, and you're saying you've penned quite a few more of these?
Yes, and I have them home.
Have they been recorded?
No.
They're just written. So you have this folder, this portfolio there of about 15 songs speaking about Dominica, its beauty, its everything.
Yes, and I have them there.
All right, it's time we move on that, okay?
Yes, I'm looking at doing
It's
that
time
for
we
sure.
move on that. I'm sure you could get some funding for
Yes.
a project like that.
Yep,
Or pass it on to someone and say, listen, I want you to manage this project for me. See if we can get some funding. Let's make this
yes,
happen.
because I did all of the research on it already. Looking at forming a group in the community for about 8 people, because I was
Like Point Michelle, like
Yes,
the Point
right.
Michelle Cultural
Yes,
Group.
your dad and I spoke a lot about
They
that.
produced an album with some beautiful local songs.
Your dad and I spoke about it because that was his favorite. I used to tell him, Suppose was my favorite
Yes,
song, and
yes.
he told me that one was his favorite.
Yes.
He loved that song as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Hector, give us, we want a date, we want a timeline when you're going to make this happen.
I was looking at this year, but things didn't happen. But I'm looking at sometime next year.
Sometime next year.
Yes, I have the songs already and everything. And
So here's what it is. We're going to give you another year, thereabouts.
Yes.
Get this ready for Independence 2023.
Yep.
Okay? All right. So we're giving you a timeline here on In the Spotlight. Hector Spaggs John has about a year to get this project going to be ready for Independence 2023.
It should be that year will be okay for me because I'm looking at doing it for sure. That is my contribution to culture. I love culture, and that's my favorite time of year. I'm a very patriotic individual. I love Dominica a lot, irrespective. Yes, I'm a politician as well, but my country, I love Dominica. I could have been anywhere in the world right now, like everybody else, but I prefer here. I love it here, and I think I can make my contribution here. Because everything I have for Diana, a lot of us get the foundation here, and we take all our skills and talents and bring it elsewhere. A lot of us looking for greener pastures, but sometimes the greener part we're looking over the fence, and
the grass is not always greener on the other side.
And sometimes we're looking beyond.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing what we're missing. It's just sometimes you meet, and that's why you want to serve. That's when you move from the CYMI, move between the National Youth Council, and I think we can move into that further.
Well, we were on bananas,
right.
But we'll come to some of those in a while. But before we even move on back to banana industry, and when you entered that field, remember you said it changed your life.
Yeah.
So we'll come to that. But while we're on the arts element of it, so you writing and so on,
Poetry.
I was told that you're quite a poet.
Yes, I have over 100 poems.
100 poems.
Yes, I wrote skits as well. In 1997, when we had they broke the telecoms monopoly, I was the head of the western, the western part of the National Youth Council. I was I was the chair, and I wrote a skit about the breaking of the monopoly, and I had a discussion there, where we brought in Carl Roberts of Cable Wireless, Mr. Alexander of SAT, and also Mr. Abraham of Mapping. I was the first person to have all 3 of them together in a discussion in Collihu. I can remember the Collihu Primary School.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is where I brought out my writing skill in writing plays. So we had a play before, like I look for it everywhere. I cannot find it.
You cannot find it.
Yes,
Oh boy.
so
it's important to archive our stuff, you know.
So I get involved with a lot of things. I love writing. I love creative writing. So these are the type of things.
So which did you come prepared to share a poem with us?
I don't know what the poems I was going for them.
So they how can Spaggs come here, folks, and not come prepared to do a poem for us,
yes,
right? But that's all right.
Yeah.
We'll allow you to escape on that one, Spaggs. But we must go back to the soil.
Yes.
We must go back to bananas, and let us talk about this. More than 16 years you spent in an industry you said from the beginning changed your life.
Yes. When I got there in July, I came into subsidy for someone who went on vacation, and when they came back, I was the boss. And what happened? But then I was working in food quality, and then the guy who was on the weight bridge went on vacation, And then there was Andy Prosper. But Andy Prosper was going to study in Cuba at the same time. And it was me. They brought me on the weighbridge, and then I became the weighbridge clerk from then on, and started working there. What about how it changed? So when Parallon came back, I worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
But the other guys who came back, they came back into food quality. But I was on the weighbridge as the weighbridge clerk with Thomas Parallon for a while.
It's a few weighbridge clerks, Hector.
When we were buying bananas, you see all the long traffic you saw, you would see on the Wabbing Cork right back to Lyndhurst.
Yes.
We were buying that. And the weighbridge was on the port, Fokole port. So all the bananas you saw coming in there, the trucks going back and forth. We were purchasing that bananas for the BMC. And I was working directly. I was working in the office, but also on the port every Thursday and Friday. I was also supervising Portsmouth at one time. So Portsmouth was buying bananas Wednesdays and Thursdays. And
so your job was what exactly?
I was the they had me as weighbridge clerk and statistics clerk. I was doing a lot of these statistics in the office, preparing data to send out, because banana was the #1 economic indicator. So everybody would call us for information. The IMF, the World Bank, CDB. I had Miss, what's her name? Miss Blanchard, Miriam Blanchard, when she was maybe at the CDB, she had direct contact with me. So I had to send information, I had to send for statistics division. So all that information, I'm compiling of data and whatnot. I have information on the banana industry from 1953.
Wow.
I have it. I was doing all the breakdowns for the community, the different districts around Dominica while I was there. Mrs. Philbert was my my supervisor at the time. You know, but the weighbridge clerk, let's before we go back to the office, the weighbridge clerk, that's where I build an appreciation for my work in terms of farmers. You were dealing with the money makers, but they were not that educated.
Right.
But coming from the rural community, coming from Salisbury, a farming community, my father was a farmer, my parents were farmers. You had a better appreciation. Maybe some of the guys from the rural, they were in their work, but they didn't have that. They were not compassionate like me or understanding. A farmer pulled a cutlass under my neck, once, and tell me, he came there and he had made an error. Tell me, you came there and you pay me and grab us. I told him to go for his book, bring the book from when he realized. I told him no, but he gave me the wrong code. I was a working computer at the time, for that. I knew every farmer code. Every name, every group they belong to.
So you got a situation where you would have a tablet and you putting in your information.
No, we had a computer, but I was a working computer. If some farmer come there, the guys would tell me, Spaggs, that Hector, that person code isn't wrong. I just look at the code and I'll tell you it's missing they put the 2 before the 3, or if the end code is wrong or whatnot. I knew everybody code. You know, there's a guy that died recently from Rivier Zurich, Oliver Emmanuel. He was a big farmer. And I just made him, I said, E1157 1G. He's also like, I'm still going to code my. Pierre Charles was my good friend. I can tell you Pierre Charles was my good friend. He's a farmer as well. And he would leave his vehicle from in the port. I can remember Pierre Charles' code off my head. I remember what Rubios belonged to, everything. His code was C551Q. And he was part of New Venture Group QZ60061Q. You had DC Morans in that group. You had Louis Gregoire, you had Madeline Gregoire, I think, Madeline Dangben, Jane Edwards, Janet Edwards. They all were part of that group.
Impressive.
And it stays with me. But some of them, I would remember further in something that happened, an experience I had on the port. They as well, that was a measure of my integrity as well. We had too much bananas and we had to cut off the line.
Oh, another cut was on the in the making.
No. So, Mr. Ferraro, that CJ Ferraro, deceased, his son is a big farmer. That's Cato. Cato, I think Cato number is C22. No, F2233-1M, I think that's his code. And Cato van came down with 150 boxes, it was in the line. But then the truck came down late. And they transferred all the boxes on the truck. So the truck had about 400 boxes. So it came on the weighbridge. And I told Cato, well, I can only take 150.
Oh, Lord.
And his father was on the board. of directors. And that Nick Troubles, the father went to the board, he came down to my office, telling me going to let me lose my job. And I didn't think anything about that because I just know I was doing what was right at the time. And when he fell ill, I know Carlin Ferrara is listening. When he fell ill, I went at his home to see him, and the gentleman was there sitting with him. And he told the gentleman to go outside a bit. And he apologized to me at his home and told me, you were doing your job, and I respect you for that, and whatever. But and he apologized to me before he passed. And these things, they stay with me because he is his son. He was emotional and whatnot, but I had to be, at that time, I had to be practical and make sure and make the right decision. And these things, it helped mold you as well, in terms of being doing the right thing. Even though it might affect some people, but you have to do the right thing. K1, I never get vexed for that. Mad at each other. Still my very good friend. His family, I respect him as one of the biggest farmers. I knew all the farmers around Jamaica. I can tell you every big farmer from every district.
Wow.
But what it did as well for Diana, you had a better appreciation for people and their hard work. When a farmer comes to DBMC for the money, I will tell them, call me, I will come and help them. If a farmer comes to the port, I'll do my best to assist them for them to go back to their homes to rest. I left work once.
You grew up in that?
Yes. So 16 years of my life, so I understood what they were doing and the hard work. I would leave the port at 6 in the morning, go home, my second of the time will not bathe, take a warm rag and pass on me, and go back to the port for 8 o'clock because farmers are coming back with bananas and I have to buy the bananas. Farmers would call me sometimes, we're loading the ship to leave, and farmers would call me, tell me they're running late.
Oh boy.
And I would tell them me and these guys would have some issues sometimes, but I would tell them to go straight to weigh them, tell them go to another ship, take a pallet and go right by the boat and load and offload. Because we had space on the boat and not let the bananas sit down. And farmers appreciated that. You would call them and tell them if they have I was in charge of sending out the list for the distribution of fertilizer after storm. It was nothing but politics. They would send
your job.
Yes, they would do the script. Mrs. Silver would do the script, would print it, tell me print it, and I would go to the different boxes depots around Dominica and drop the list. And nobody, if you have an acre of 3 acres of bananas, and they say the thing is 4 bags per acre, a gallon of gramazone, a thing of rope, gang cord, that's what it is. Nobody could tell you that is not yours. You have 6 acres, you have to get what you worth. You have 5 acres, you get what you worth. Nobody would say is because you support that party or this party. So every farmer would get what they deserve. That farmers would have fertilizer on themselves because that is what they deserve. No, you know what is happening with fertilizer, and that is what is affecting our industry. We politicize the industry too much. Let farmers be farmers, let them do their work, but just create markets for them, and you will see the community evolve. I would go any part of Dominica for Diana with an empty pocket, and I'll come back with banana produce or whatnot. I remember one year, I left the police for about $1,000 around Christmas time.
Cheap you get.
Look at 100, look at 5, look at 20.
They appreciated the extra mile that you went for them.
For the nice farmers, you change their vehicles every 2 years. Every 2 years, fellas buying brand new vehicles. Farmers, sometimes you would have to call farmers and tell them they have checks at the office, because they have the dashing or the oranges selling at the time. So the banana money was there. So that's why you hear people talk about money. I experienced money was making money at that time. But it shows that these people were hardworking. Some of them send their children to school. They build houses on that. Right now, some of them can't even paint these houses because the land is still there.
But Hector, what happened? For those of us who don't know, give us a sense. What happened to the banana industry?
I think it's
green gold.
Green gold. It was twofold. We had the external shocks in terms of the preferential treatment that went was in 1999 and took effect later that maybe the following year. But I think some people say it has been industry, but the geese boat never stopped coming to Dominica. St. Lucia never stopped selling bananas. Look now, they are trying to increase the production by 150%. But we forget about it. But that's what killed the rural community. That's what they were surviving on. But everything else revolved around the banana. No matter what dashing you have, ganja, all the ganja planters used to go make the June banana farmers to get a bag of fertilizer for the ganja. All the passion fruit farmers used to do the same thing, dashing farmers. They would, everything revolved, so they would get the inputs from farmers that involve in bananas, because they had a set quota. It was 8 cents on every pound was deducted. Farmers would have so much money on their cess. That's money they kept their deductions, and take more than send the children on vacation. Take money to buy the spare tires on their vehicles, redo their homes, buy things from ports, because they had extra cash. Save the using as the revolving fund, right, to run industrial operational and thing. But the farmers had their monies there, and so they were independent. I could go now. I go to and they have to do all districts, and farmers give me stories that I can remember, things I did for them. But it was not me alone. You had a team of men and women providing quality service, and that's why I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to work there with people like Dr. Osman Baron. He kept me when I came there to act for it. He said, Hector John is not going to. He told Mr. Didi, I can never forget that. Mr. Michael Didi was the operations manager. Hector John is not living there. So you had Roy Leslie, Kelvin Stevenson, Peter Carbon before he became the Minister of Agriculture. I worked with him, Danny Luge, Glenroy Coffey, Errol Emmanuel, Dave Lloyd, a whole set of people that I worked with, not only in the Eflin Emmanuel. She's with the Bureau of Standards right now. She's from Newton.
Yes.
She and I were the 2 youngest in the office, and we had a very good relationship. We still do, and that industry built us. I as I said further, and I started working at the age of 20. 24, I bought my land. 31, I built. And I used that same house, renting to Ross, and went to study. All that came from the banana industry. And that is what we have lost. So we had.
Do you think we've lost it all today?
No. Why? Because St. Lucia, the body is still coming here. St. Lucia is doing the best with it right now. In terms, they investing a lot heavily in bananas right now. They even want to expand the market to the Caribbean as well.
So should we go back?
Yes, we can. Because look, the problem we had with preferential treatment in the UK is no longer there, because the UK has left the EU, so they can still go out to trade with the ACP countries, the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries, that the traditional people they were trading with. So I think we can go back there and negotiate.
What do we need to do?
We as do not reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of people who work in the industry can bring back in. The St. Lucia is right there. Get back up the trading where St. Lucia is, and work together as the Windward Islands to get back on the UK market and improve on our quality and get the banana industry going. If we start now, in next year we are back on the marketing. Because you take bananas take about some areas 6.5 months to 7 months to mature. Around America, you go to the Calibishi areas and Castles and these places, La Plaine. So you're talking about less than 9 months you can be back into production if you plant. But we just have to make sure that we do the right things and get back on track and involve young farmers, make agriculture sexy. Get them the laptops on the field, to do the inventories and everything and monitoring and whatnot, and that would assist. But we need to get back into the industry. You need a cash crop. Agriculture is our base, but we need a cash crop, and we don't have a cash crop. If it's marijuana to make a cash crop, so be it.
So
but
do we go that route then?
Yes, we can.
Commercialize it?
Right, but we have to go pass the proper legislation.
Do you think we should?
We should, yes. I'm with 100%. How we have the type of terrain, the best terrain for it, and you have Antigua and St. Vincent. Look, St. Vincent is moving on. You have Antigua with no water is into the production of marijuana. and Dominica has some of the best terrains, some of the best places. We have been doing that high grade in the Campbells and the wet areas, Bells and Grand Bend everywhere. In Dominica we had that growing. But
how can you, as a member of parliament, influence that?
We raised it, during the debate on the legalizing the spliff or the free seeds. I think it's 28 grams. Yes, we brought it into the discussion, but it was not as part of it. But we led on that since 2014. We have been speaking about that. The United Workers' Party, the parliamentary opposition, speaking about making commercial marijuana and looking at the different finished products as well, from it. So we can go into this one, but we need a cash crop for you to have the rural community being independent, being vibrant. You need to give them something to do, and agriculture is the way. The lands, we have the land there for Dinah. The land is not running. They just abandoned. And I saw them get a good recipe some 7-8 years. Now they must have be fertile enough to, if it's bananas, if it's ganja, we're going into, but we have to get a cash crop for us to get our young people back into something positive. But then it's sad to see a lot of young men and women just on the roads, particularly young men. What they have in the pocket is scissors, a 5-pack, the high leaf, the wrapper.
Only 28 grams?
Right. I'm not saying I'm not against them smoking, but give them more to do, give them more to do, let them be more productive. And that's where we're lagging when it comes to empowering our young people. Before, when you leave high school or primary school, your parents are going to look for a trade to do. You hardly have young men getting involved in trade. There's no youth skills training thing. I make recommendations on several occasions that let us utilize the Nehemiah Comprehensive Building and get into youth skills training modules there for them to get our young people empowered. So there are a lot of things we can do to empower young people in the rural communities, but we have to be proactive. We have to be not looking at it as divisive politics, but all inclusive. If we come to Parliament to make some suggestions, genuine suggestions, and recommendations, they should be taken on board, and that is where I am disappointed in part of the politics of my country. Yeah. And
we're going to get into politics as well. You spoke about that day you started at the DBMC, how that changed your life, and I could tell in several ways. You spoke about buying property, you spoke about building your home, and you were on the verge of telling us that you also went off to study.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, and then we come back to the politics.
Yes, when I completed my house in 2004, yes, Ross University took it for professor, so I was renting for us. So I used that opportunity to go to study.
So you rent your house,
yes,
and you go and study.
Yes, in 2006.
All right.
Yes, so I started at the time as the best move. That time the banana industry was going through some challenges as well locally. So I said that's the best time for me to dig out, and I went and.
It's not like you were turning your back on it, I hope.
No, I was always I always told myself, in 2006 I was offered to be a senator, and I told them no, I want to go. I was very vocal at that time already.
Okay.
I was a very vocal individual.
Okay.
I have been and thing, so I went to study at that time, and I came back with my.
What did you go to study?
Information technology. I did a bachelor's degree. Came up with honors. I was the first person at Monroe College, first student at Monroe College to speak at the commencement ceremony at Madison Square Garden in 2009, June 12, 2009.
And you spoke in what capacity?
As a student, graduating student. Right. I was the first graduating student to speak at the school. Maybe it was 86 years of the school, 83 years of the school. And I was the first student, 4,000 people at the school. I had the biggest, they gave us 5 tickets, but I had about 15 family members there.
And they allowed everybody?
Yes, and they were very loud.
Oh gosh.
The Dominica flag.
Dominic chair. Yes. By your leg.
Yes, and something that after that, ceremony, when I went outside, something that touched me was a lady from St. Kitts that came to me and said to me, Mr. John, you didn't speak for only Dominicans, you spoke for me as well.
Yes.
And I was very proud to be there. When I came, it was snow and everything, and she told me she was happy to be there, to come, take a loan to come for a granddaughter's graduation. And I made it worthwhile, and that stayed with me. You know?
Yes,
so
yes,
because I
yes.
spoke about my experience as a young man come from the Caribbean and thing. And at Monroe, I wasn't just a student. I was a student leader from the word go very early because of maybe I was a mature student. I was very involved in the school. If you go to Applebee's on those in New York, if you go to Applebee's on Webster and Fordham Road, going towards the toilet, you'll see a picture. The guy with the Dominican band on his head is Hector John, right there. Because Monroe College, I did a lot as a student, very much involved. I remember students going to Monroe College at in St. Lucia. My professors was there, former professors, and would often told them, do you know Hector? You'd ask them, do you know Hector Johnson? He's from Dominica. You say yes. We say I'm giving you 100%. But you have to keep that 100%. Since you're from Dominica, you're starting for 100%, and you know Hector John. So we were very good. I was very involved in the school, so at that time, and brought in because of not only working in the banana industry, not only being part of CYM, but also being part of the National Youth Council at that time as well. I worked with Edward Regis. He was the president. I was the chairman when we re-established National Youth Council in 1996. Henry Parrellon was the chairman, because then he migrated, and I took over as chairman. I stayed there for 3 years, and the National Youth Council changed around that time, and you move on, you know. But I was happy to have served with people like Ed, Steve Joseph, Nash Mitchell.
I see Zilma Charles is there cheering you on.
Zilma.
That's what National Youth Council did for us.
Yes, Harold Henry from Granby, Audrey John Baptist, Leandra, as Leandra said, Charles now says in Dublin. A lot of us went through the National Youth Council because of that. Monita Carbon, she's a principal, I think now, of the St. John's Academy, one of the schools up that way in the north. We were all part of the National Youth Council at the time, and that helped mold me as well. And Annie as well. Annie is I think she's the head of the infirmary right now. We were all in the National Youth Council.
Okay.
And I was Harold and I was speaking the other day, and I was reminding Harold, and maybe Steve as well. Steve was the funeral. And I said, you know, I am maybe one of the only members of the executive and never traveled on the National Youth Council. I wanted other people to travel. I was not in the rush and thing. I wanted to give other people opportunities at that time. And that has always been the person I am. I like other people to get opportunities to empower themselves and see different things. So I never traveled in National Youth Council. When they went to Cuba in 1997, if Mamu at the time, there was a big contingent that went to Cuba and I was not on it. Michael T. Murphy was there, I think, and Cecil Joseph and all the others, but I was not on board. So all this help and thing, so when I was at Monroe, I was head of the Multicultural Student Association. I was head, when we brought in the National Society of Black Engineers, I was the first president at Monroe College, the chapter. I went to Vegas with them. I went to Washington, D.C. and different things.
You made your mark.
Yeah, I made my mark. I came around with them. And then I did my last exam on August 4th, 2009. August 6th, I was in Dominica.
You came back home?
2009.
2009.
Get involved in politics. But before I came down, I had to, by the summer of 2008, Earl moved out and he came up and I spoke about it, and we spoke for 2 hours. He came to my brother's home and we spoke for a long time about it, and he told me, encouraged me to go back down and get involved. But because my plan was to stay up there, do my master's and maybe my PhD. But I always knew I was come back home. And I came
that was always the plan, to come back home.
Yeah. And I came back home prematurely, I would say, because I didn't finish what I wanted to do, and I'm still looking at doing it, but I have no regrets. I have challenges, frustrations, but no regrets, because I know what I'm doing is genuinely to serve my country and thing, but no regrets about it so
No
far.
regrets about it.
No.
So the politics bit began through a conversation with Earl. How did the interest in politics begin?
No, I was always involved in politics. I remember sometime, maybe earlier in the 2000s, I was maybe president of the youth arm one time of the UWP. In 1998, for Dinah, when UWP had the first convention at Londonderry, it was my 18th birthday the day before. And the Sunday I was at Londonderry. So I was always around the Anti-Workers Party. And in somewhere 2002, 2003, when Mr. Hudson Savre died, I co-hosted the show with Mr. Dave Bruni on Q95.
Okay.
So I was there for a while, then I left and came back. But the politics, I was always involved. If you don't know, I was always working with Earl and things. I was one of Earl foot soldiers, proudly. Working in my community and always getting involved. So everybody knew my face around. I started emceeing the workers' public meetings and gatherings around there. And interestingly, in 2001 for Dinah, there was a Calypso quarterfinals or quarterfinals at the Tennis Court. And Donovan Massicott was the master of the ceremony, and he was having some challenges. And Ian Jackson was walking around. I said, Chapo, I can help you. They're watching me. You strike it over. He said, yeah, man. And I can just give me one try. I'll introduce one Calypsonian and they can.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
So you were emceeing Calypso too?
Yes. For about 6 years. Only thing I never reached on the big stage. Every time for the big stage, Val and Alex blocking me. So I did eliminations, I did quarterfinals, I did semifinals. But I never got the opportunity to do the finals.
Okay.
But Jacko gave me that opportunity. I want to thank him for that. I used to MC in the communities, go to do when Leandra and them had the Christmas shows and different shows in the different communities. St. Joseph, I would go there and MC. So I had a little skill set on the side, so I ended up doing it in Calypso. And I did the mass camp for a long time as well. I'm an original mass camp MC when they were at the Old Mill. So I MC'd the mass camp for a long time, and then I MC'd down there at Highland Plaza as well. So
Speak to us, Spaggs, about the political journey.
Political, right? Yes, when I went away, the situation happened with Mr. Williams, and then he left, and there was a thing for the replacement. So he came up to the States and he came to me, because one thing, I was always loyal to him and to the cause. I've always been that type of person. I'm a team player. I believe in working together and team. And then the discussion was in Dominica, it was hot in Dominica, hot discussion of who is going to replace Earl and thing. And my phone was going busy, everybody calling me and thing, and I had to make that decision, and I agreed to go as soon as I'm done. I told them, just hold on as soon as I'm done, and I came back down, and I ran in 2009, and I won, and then we stayed out of Parliament for some time. The middle was still vacant. I came back and I won the by-election, and suddenly everything that went on in 2014.
So wait, so there was a by-election because the United Workers' Party at the time was engaging in some kind of protest and staying away from Parliament. And if you miss 3 sittings of Parliament consecutively, then there's to be a by-election in your...
They make the seat vacant.
Who does that? Is it the Speaker of the House, or is that done?
But it had a lot of controversy right there, because we only meet, because I've been in the House for the past 12 years, and we only meet about 3 times a year. We have a sitting coming up for the first time on May 30th. So we only meet 3 times a year. But the Ross just 3 sitting every month to make our seat vacant. It happened.
It was you and who?
Mr. James.
Okay.
And Mr. Griffith went back in Parliament. And when they made the seat vacant, we ran. But we took the matter before the court. We wanted to find out who has the right to make a seat vacant? Was it the speaker or the courts? And we took the matter before court, and interestingly, the justice at the time, the judge at the time was Justice Bernard Brooks, and she made she dismissed the matter. She said it was moot because we ran. We never went to court because we wanted to find out about we winning. We went to court to find out who had the right, under which jurisdiction. If it's under the parliament, or if the speaker had the right, or the court had the right to make us vacant. And she dismissed the matter, and she said we could have appealed it. And that time it was so much frustration, and resources was limited, so we left it alone at that time. You know, but still today I feel we were wronged, and we didn't have a fair hearing. Also, it was made vacant by the speaker, and I think they could have done more for us or better at the court with that decision. But at the end of the day, it's not myself and Mr. Jim that lost. It was the state. You know, we should be able to set a precedent, a genuine precedent of who has the right to make a seat vacant whenever that becomes necessary. And these are the other things I see happen too many times as a politician in the system. You know.
What do you think worked and didn't work for you as leader of the opposition when you took on that role?
Yeah, that role, it was a big shoes to fill at that time. I was just young, green. I was the youngest. I was 49, and they asked me to get up, and I saw it as a challenge. I love challenges as well at that time. But I brought in a different face, a fresh face, because you had Mr. James and all the others that were there, and I was happy to be able to be in Parliament with Ron Green, a very experienced, Norris Prevost, Edison James, and these individuals. So myself, Ezekiel Basil, Danny Lugie, Claudia Sanford, then Claudius left, and then Mr. Ronnie Isidore came in. You know, we brought in something different, so people begin to look at us differently. So the stigma and the, the confrontation was we tried to see if we could have changed it. And we called for a meeting, and the speaker that was at that time. We went and had a very nice meeting, saying that myself, Ronnie, Danny Lugie, and Ezekiel Basil, they were senators, I was the elected member, to see how we can change things and pie. The discussion was good, but when we went to Parliament, there's more fire. Like it was not. We were trying to see how we can build that camaraderie, because Mr. James and Mr. Prevost told us that when there was, you had Mamo, you had Ruzi, and all the others, there was camaraderie, irrespective of they giving each other, debating.
There was banter.
There was banter, but there was still respect for each other. And that is what is lacking, I think. And so it made it a challenge. Everything was a confrontation. I think I went to several meetings with the Prime Minister and the others, and we discussed some issues. And then it was a totally different thing when you got all there. It was a bit frustrating, but it was a challenge that you had to take on and be there and be the face. And it helped me grow and give me a better understanding of the politics and to stand your ground. I think it really brought out in me my values as well, because you hear about the buying and all the distraction about who they saying they can compromise the integrity, but you have never heard that about me. Nobody's saying they're going to buy me. Nobody's saying, oh, we heard Spaggs coming across or something. You'll not hear that about me, because I'm a straight shooter. I am a very friendly politician, but I'm an elected member of the United Workers' Party, and that is what they're going to take away from me. I am part of a team. I don't compromise that. I believe in loyalty. I look at any member of my team, I will defend them in public, or if something, I will call them and tell them X, Y, Z. But I will not go there and have myself in any gray area and unnecessaries, you know, with members of my party. And that's how I see myself from youth, playing cricket, going to school, being part of CYM, always part of a group, being part of National Youth Council. So you always learn to have that trust and build that camaraderie and that respect, you know. And people can, if you go all there, people can say, okay, Spaggs have my back, you know. And I believe that is what I have the politics of mine was the only person that taught me. The challenges you had a lot is we don't have the resources, you don't have the media voice, and sometimes you just have to let some battles go. It was a challenge, and some things you have to pick. I learned to pick up my battles at these times as well, and those challenges. I remember one time, the time I was leader of the opposition. I'm going to give you an example, something that really hurt me. As I told you, I want to further myself, and I will do that as well.
You mean your education? You want to go further?
Yes, further. I believe I was saying that to them. I might be Dr. Spaggs very soon. That is my mindset. And I got accepted to start a program with the Oxford Universities, international diplomacy and international governance and international diplomacy. I got that thing. I got accepted. So the clerk of the house at the time asked me, but I cannot go to study again, and I said, nah, I could only come up with $100,000 on my own, but I need $140,000 salary. Tell me, but as a member of parliament, you can apply for the state to assist.
Oh.
So I say, okay. So tell me, as in the procedure, tell me, contact the, what's his name, the CAPSEC at the time, Mr. Farrell. I contacted him, tell me, send him an email. I did that. So I expect him to write maybe to the Ministry of Education, maybe Finance, to any one of them, and call me. But one time I was on the road for then, and that really hurt me. PS Server is a PS now with the Ministry of Housing. Met me in town and tell me he need more information from me. I said, for what? He said to go and study at Oxford. I said, no, that was not for you. I left it like that. I was shocked because I expected to go to the proper channel. So while in Parliament once, man, I given the Prime Minister blows on the NAP program, I think it's NAP. And lo and behold, the Prime Minister said I can walk up the steps and come ask him for money to go and study, and I gave him the fingers. And that one hurt me further. And that was I think the biggest hurt I got in politics, and that one was silly because you can give me the jokes and say I'm lazy or bad, that or whatever, that I know who I am. But you say I came and something like that in Parliament, even though you couldn't take the person to court, you could say nothing, but it was not true. And that one hurt me for a very long time. And from there, I began to adjust and say, boss, you have to know what you say and who you, because sometimes you go there genuinely and you want to assist or somebody, and you even feel like you never want to go and ask anybody, any minister, to assist that particular person in your community, because the reproach does be fiery, and that one stayed with me to know your.
So you never followed up further on that?
No, I know I killed it right there because I just know that it wasn't on that, it will never happen in that way, it will happen my way, so I just take it from that. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about within the political realm that you want to do good. So for example, if I want to go there and assist somebody asks me I don't go to ministers. If I have to go to the minister, I will go. But I go through the different levels in the ministry. And anybody in the ministry will tell you, if Hector come, I will not drum them. I ask for who is responsible for that particular thing that I need done, and they will tell me who to go to, and I get it done for them. If I have challenges, maybe, or you refer me to the minister, that is different. But I try to follow protocol, even though I'm a member of parliament within the public service, and that's how I see it.
And Hector, you just made a point there, and I've heard that being said, that you're lazy and you don't want to get work to do. So explain to us, from the time you came back to study, you got into the whole politics. So you've never worked since you came back to Dominica, and you've been in politics?
Well,
share with us.
I did a few things, but for then the victimization is real. But I don't go there and cry about it. I just man up and take it in. I've been through the fire, through the grill, burned, roasted, and I'm still standing. But what it showed me that you have to stay there to change that. No matter what party you support, since you're Dominican, you should be able to get employed in your country, and nobody should be able to victimize. Even in the private sector, I got blocked. I know that.
So you've tried to get employment?
Because before I left Dominica, but then I had a skill, I was a very good person with spreadsheet. I learned on my own. Companies would call me and ask me to come work with them. I learned everything on my own, so I went to further myself. So I came back better. And I was private. I got calls for some companies, private sector, and then they tell me, boy, we're getting that amount of work from the government and blah blah blah. Yeah, I got offers. People meet me and some other people from the government come over and meet us and blah blah blah. I would solve them right away. Yeah, I'm not in that. I'm not for sale. I will not.
So Hector Spaggs is not lazy.
No. Right now I even register my own real estate company.
Okay.
Green Paradise Properties. I'm doing real estate.
Green Paradise Properties.
Yes,
Okay.
I've been doing that for a while. I've been doing it for a while, but I just to be legit and everything, just to have my VAT number, everything properly registered company, just to be on the straight and narrow, because the victimization is real. I will not speak about. If I have to speak about some of the things I went through as a politician on the other side, people are telling me, boy, pack up and go. I will tell you, sometimes I go to the States and my nieces will tell me, where are you going back to Dominica for? The last time I was up there in 2020, I got stuck because of COVID. And DJ Mikey, I don't know if you're listening to DJ Mikey from Salisbury, gave me a lecture, because we were living close by in Salisbury. Everybody talking about you when you came up in New York, all this, you were helpful and everything, and your mindset where you were. And you go back in Dominica and you just get stuck. But and I listened to him for what he was making sense in terms of he knows about me. He knew me back home and how I was a very progressive person. I still am a very progressive person, but those doors are short. You have to make your own door. You have to get your jackhammer and build doors and windows, boulders for it to get through. You know, and something that I missed out while I was in New York in 2008, that was the best labor day that day, and I was very much involved in it. The government of Dominic Epic was a 40th reunion thing. When Forward We Go was the theme song. And I was involved in organizing. I used to live in Monroe College in New Rochelle and take the metro north and down in Manhattan for meetings every time with people like Barbara Daly was at the concert at that time, Chris Springgregor was still there, Dixon Sylvester, and our good friend Tilly, you know, and I was involved in it, and I still have a letter that I got from the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time, Mr. Steve Farrell, thanking us for a very good job that we did. Something else happened, I started in New York, trying to get all the organizers, the entertainers, entertainment organizers in New York, to tell them to work with each other. And I would tell them, send their, any gig that they are sent to me and I WhatsApp it to people. No, it was text at the time, no WhatsApp text, but they would take that and put them on the GPS and come to the activities. So and those activities to be full of. Schwa one them used to thank me for that. Tilly, Brigo, all these guys. But I was telling them to promote those things. And we had a carnival activity, I remember. With the same activity, we had the Sensei, the guys from Korea you will see on Kalina XP thing. They were always around with us, Andy and the others. And what we did, I remember we went to Carrington. She passed away in Queens. And we had an activity, and a lady came to me, tell me, Mr. John, thank you. 40 years I lived down there, I've never seen sense in Lapocabit for a long time. And that in itself was something, an accomplishment. You see, there's little things that go a long way to encourage you to do better and always try to continue to serve people. And that's where my service is unblemished, and I feel I have pride in that, get pride in serving people. And that's why I'm right now as a power rep is you just continue to fight it.
How difficult is it to be a power rep in the opposition?
Well, very difficult, and not to say that it's very difficult when you have limited resources, but when you have the constant. My father told me that election in his time was for 3 months. When campaign done, the person who win the election, the next everybody back together. No negative talk on radio, no campaigning, no hatred. But then I tried to speak to some of the politicians. There's some politicians you can speak with, about discussion with them. Some members in the system, in the government side, could not speak with them. Sometimes you feel like having like a discussion with them or just have a dialogue. I see myself as a very friendly politician, and I can have a discussion with anybody. But because it is so confrontational, the place is so tense. We had a discussion recently that is the privileged committee, and I was telling the Speaker of the House in the discussion that the place is too tense. People not before you come to Parliament to parley. Too many allow us to debate. Just be the facilitator. Let people believe in some of us getting some tongue lashing. Oh, the leader of the opposition. So 7 of us for that. Only 7 of us on the opposition side inside there, and like you fighting the whole world. You know, for that, if you play sports, for example, netball.
No.
None? Okay.
I played it around this.
Right. But if you look at football or cricket, you have the 11 men, but then you still have the linesmen, the referee, the team against you, the commentators against you. That's what you're faced with, you know. In Parliament, the environment is not have a camaraderie feel, a relaxing feel. It's always being confrontational. But I am a very cool, quiet, jovial, troublesome person. When people sit in Parliament, they say that Hector is a troublemaker. That's what I have to do to stand up, you know, for me to hear myself, for me to be heard. Daniel Luge I know Daniel Luge had the BMC for years. You have to behave like that sometimes for people to hear you. Some people saying you might be too radical inside, but sometimes that's what you have to do. They're not hearing the asides, the things that have been said to you, the things. And one time I heard the minister said to Annette, say Annette is drunk. I couldn't sit down and let that happen. You know, but the camaraderie, so these are the type of things you like to see evolve. So I am saying there for that, and I think maybe in there is helping to create that platform going forward where you'll have that level of camaraderie they had before, level of respect. We come there, we debate on the issues, and yet still we can meet on the street and have a drink, or I can invite you to my community and let's sit down and talk about something. Or as a minister, you can come to you can call me to your office and let's sit down. I will make a contribution in Parliament. Come, let's talk about it. I think I had that type of relationship with Dr. Colin McIntyre. We were cool like that. You know, where we could speak on something. I had that relationship with Mr. Austria when he was the minister, but I was not in politics. He used to call me junior minister for Saul's deputy parry for Saul. At that time, Earl was studying, and if I wanted some things to assistant in sand or something, I'd go to him and he would let me get it. He would help, you know, and we would get that thing going in the community. But it has changed, and I like to see, like Ed. Ed was my Ed and I we remained colleagues in Parliament, never disrespected each other. A record happened in Parliament, you know, where Ezekiel Basil and myself on the opposition side asked for extra time for Ed Regis. You know, that has never happened. You know, Ezekiel moved the motion and I seconded it, and they moved it and came to a vote, and he got the extra time. But it was showing that level of camaraderie. We have to learn to bridge the gap. If we behave in Parliament, everybody's saying that we're bad boys, but sometimes you have to stand up. It's not about being bad, but at least creating an atmosphere for it to be heard. You know, and I'm happy with what I'm doing in terms of the team I'm with, the men and women I'm with. I say, thank God I'm with them. And I always say, I prefer work with men and women who have integrity and who are about the country than to go and with others say I win with them. And I like to win the proper way. I prefer lose the right way and feel comfortable about it. You know, if you build me fair and square, I'm happy. You know, but if I win the wrong way, I'll be guilty. You know, and I don't want that level of guiltiness. And I'm happy with the team. I'm happy to be led by Lennox Linton and be have people like experienced people like Isaac Baptiste, Teacher Ernie, Senator Francisco Joseph, experienced people like that I can work with, I can provide guidance and support. Even though I'm the most experienced elected member of Parliament, I humble myself to be able to work with them. Senator Annette Sanford, young Senator Annette Sanford, young Senator Clement Massey, You know, so you as you have to also lead by example, because these individuals are coming behind you. You want them people to see what you're made of and what you stand for. And the 14 years in there, Fadina has helped me to understand what Dominica needs. Dominica needs a lot, but we all have a right to a role to play. But we allow the politics of division to control us. You know, when the big men and women that I respected, you know, years ago, hearing them on the radio, meeting them in person, look up to, and they forget what it's about country and it's about self, you know, and we have deteriorated so much. You know, our young people is what I can get, but not what I can do for myself. You know, that's why I always love Fadina. I prefer take my time to sit down and discuss with somebody who is ignorant of the fact than to waste my time to debate with somebody who is arrogant with the facts.
Hector, we're getting close to wrap up time.
Yes.
I want you to speak to us before we get to a couple light issues as we get ready to wrap things up.
Yes.
I want you to tell me about your experience of being arrested. And I don't know how much of that you can speak to.
Yes,
but yes.
I can, yeah.
Talk to us about that.
I think we had a meeting in September 2019, 18, thing. And I said, if there's no electoral reform, there'll be public unrest, you know, or if there's no electoral reform, there'll be social, something disobedient.
I think I actually researched that.
Yes.
Today, let me see if I can actually find it. Let me see.
There'll be civil disobedience. Yeah, I think that is it. And a week after I made that comment, I came to town to get something for my son.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I was walking on the back street.
Okay, so let me tell you what it's quoted there. You referred to the Prime Minister. You called out to the Prime Minister, and you said, "This is my last time I am coming on the platform, asking you to tell us about the money. You will be hearing about Hector John. You will not be seeing me. I will not be speaking anymore. I am going to tell you something before I leave. Don't think that you will call the elections without electoral reform. You will have civil unrest on your hands. Good night and God bless." Is that what you said, sir?
Yes, straight up.
Okay.
And I meant it, Pudina, because a lot of people, right now, upon reflection, there are a lot of people who continue to call me about that electoral reform thing. Because we've seen what is happening in the region. Everybody is moving towards that. You want free and fair election. You want everybody to be independent, to vote for a party that they want. Nobody should force you. That's why I love where I'm running, where I'm representing. Pudina. You have Salisbury, Kulibistri, and Monrachet. Salisbury, 49 Workers' Party. Monrachet and Kulibistri is about the middle. But Monrachet doesn't vote United Workers' Party. I represent everybody. And I feel comfortable in every village. Monrachet, I sit down the blocks with the same guys that do not vote me. But they respect me and I respect them. That is a democratic right. I don't pay them to go and vote for me, pay anybody to vote for me. But I want them to be independent. I want them to vote for me, but that is their right.
But you respect.
And I respect them. I respect who they vote for. And we have that respect, that camaraderie. Because for life is once a man, twice a child. And how you treat people on that side of when you go out to be a man, is how they treat you when you go down to be a child on the second time. And I see that there's life after politics. And so I don't want to create a situation while I'm in politics. So when I leave politics, I'll be a lonely man in a corner. But I want to have that same camaraderie and respect. So that happened. I was arrested. I made a comment, and I was arrested a week after. But I came to town. I ended up thinking nothing about that. I went to town. They picked me up, and they brought me to the police station. For my lawyer came, Mr. Gildon Riches. Good night, sir. And he worked on everything, and they bailed me by that day. I'm still on bail. The process is still going. Frustrating, waste of time. I'm waiting for my day in court to deal with it and move on. I've been before the court on several occasions, but it's like continue dragging and dragging. And I think I see this as a frustrating us, I think, as members of parliament. But we have to continue to persevere, and people do not understand what it is to be a member of parliament on the opposition side. They don't understand the pressures you're under. Even your own supporters sometimes second guess you when you expect them to understand what's going on, and it's frustrating. It's not, as I said, I have no regrets being there, because I know I am serving genuinely and will continue to serve with the team I am with right now. And I see us becoming the government of Dominica in terms of making that meaningful contribution towards the advancement of our country. And I would just want Dominicans to understand, yes, you can support your party, but there are sometimes you have to make changes and do things. Like St. Lucia, for the past 5 election cycles, they have changed the government 5 times. And St. Lucia, I went there in 89 for my first time, and there was like, I would never live in St. Lucia, and St. Lucia it's like little New York. But the people show in the government that you have come there and perform. Look, some people are already fed up with the new Prime Minister, Mr. Philip J. Pierre. But they have come there and deliver. That's what they're just in your government, to come there, deliver, and make sure that the country moves in the right direction. That's what you had before. You had the Patrick John's government, the Mayor Eugenia, Charles Ellison James, and those people, they came there and they performed. They left a legacy. You know, what legacy are we going to, do we have now after those years? When you ask this question, there are people saying is, you can know what you have to ask this question. You yourself have to do self-introspection. You know, you ask for that as the host of In the Spotlight. You have to ask yourself sometimes, is the program losing it going off course? Is it growing in stature? These are the things you have to do. You have to do some self-evaluation, and that is why.
Is your party doing that?
Yes, we're doing that. We continue to meet on a regular basis. You know, we're not doing a lot of activities because of the COVID. You remember we had our delegates conference in December and whatnot. We had some activities. We were very much involved in the education and the drive around the COVID time. We having meetings for the past time meeting. Tomorrow we have another meeting somewhere else. But we are meeting. We are evaluating looking at things the different way. But you don't have the resources of the state, so you're always under pressure. And you have radio programs 24/7 bombarding the opposition. Hector John this, Hector John that. I mean it all the time. They're not Clinton this, they're not Danny Lugie. And that is constant goes on the opposition. And we're going to be in Parliament next week, on the 40th. We'll go there, make our contribution. Next day it's done. We're not hearing it. Not even on the nation station we're hearing members of the opposition speaking on a news clipping. You know, a news item. And these are type of things you'll see. So you have different radio stations that will promote the government. But the opposition continues to remain strong. I remember in some years ago, Mr. John told me, Patrick John told me at the hospital that United Workers' Party is the strongest opposition. So I asked him why, ever. So I asked him why. Tell me, after in 1979, when the Labour Party went down, it wasn't the Freedom Party but the Labour Party. It was the unions. Where are the unions now? But the United Workers' Party have to play the role of everybody right now. And we have to be lawyers, we have to be priests, we have to be pastors, we have to be union, we have to be everything. Speak out for everybody. And that's where people do not understand the pressure that we're under, and we continue to do it for country and not for self. And that's why I'm happy I am with the right team and the women, men and women to work with.
All right, Hector Spaggs John, Member of Parliament for the Salisbury constituency, and so much more we learned tonight on the program. But a couple of things before we wrap up. Spaggs, we don't have much time, but one, you have a son.
Yes.
We didn't talk about him.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your son.
He's Ifan is 5. Very jovial. He took my father. He looks like me, everybody say. But he took my father's complexion and my father ways.
Okay.
So he's a flashy man like my father. So
okay.
Yes,
all right.
Well loved.
And a little Vary.
Yeah,
so Vary to go if you.
Yes, yeah, it's Vary to go.
Okay.
A lot of Vary.
A lot of Vary. You're not married.
No, not to say.
You're not
I have
married.
a girlfriend, but I'm not married.
You have a girlfriend, but not married.
Not married.
Well, I hope that you at least.
That's not too far.
That's not too far, right? And the last thing I want to talk to you about, it has to do with social media. One or two people came back to me when I sent out my broadcast for you being on tonight, and they said Minister of Facebook or something like that. That's what they call you. How do you feel about that?
Good, you know.
You feel good?
Yes, because I was 10 years ahead of everybody. Because a lot of people did not understand the power of social media, you know. And coming from an IT background, and also I was in New York for the first election of Obama in 2008. And after one of our classes, one of our professors gave us some classes in the power of social media, how to utilize social media, how to keep people, your audience, how to have a messaging and everything. And it's around that time I begin to understand the use of social media. So people were saying I on Facebook all the time, but now they're on Facebook more than me. So now they put me down to the senator of social media, and they're the ministers and whatnot. But I am very happy I was the pioneer in utilizing social media to get messages across, to reach your audience in terms of politics, and to connect with your loved ones, you know. People don't understand that I'm a politician and I hardly post, sometimes I have no political posts. I'll make some jokes and kick stuff, and something I do, some people call me sometimes the Facebook post. Some people, I will see them make some posts disrespecting others. I'll go to their inbox and tell them it's not nice. So if you post on my, so people hardly curse on my post, because they know I will not accept it, no matter, irrespective if it's the government or who you're talking about. I think you have a level of respect for people and their offices, and so that's how I see it. So I am the pioneer of Facebook, so utilizing the Facebook.
Hector Spaggs John, you have a few seconds to give us your final comments as we wrap up.
Yes, so then I just want to thank you for having me here tonight to let people see the different side of Hector John, not just the politician, but the community organizer, the MC, the writer, the community. I think see myself as a community organizer, beyond the politics, but someone that you can relate to. I can go in any community in Dominica for Diner and be welcome, no matter if it's what party, because of how I am, you know. And I just want to thank everybody. I know I have a lot of messages. I'm not looked at my phone as yet. Everybody will listen. People who called me before the program and gave me some reminders, you know, of things I was involved in, you know, so I had to take notes of some of the things that I got involved in. But tonight, then I hope that people understand who is Hector better, and what drives Hector, and why he'll always be on the straight and narrow and speak his mind, and be respectful at it, you know, why I will always be thankful to be part of an organization that wants best for Dominica, and I will continue to serve. I'm not running anywhere for Diana, like some people that say after the election, politics or something, or they retire, they leave Dominica. No, I'm here, I will visit away. I just want to thank you again for Diana for having me here. Oh, yes. And I truly appreciate that, and all the love from everybody. I know there's a girl called Sabina who's giving me a headache as well.
My girl has been, I think probably that's the first time in a long time she's been through the entire program. Through the entire program.
That is my girl from years, long time. We go way back as well. So she always loved her cricket, and so when she was going to grammar school, she's always be at the park with us as well. So yeah, and Carlin.
She's a sports girl altogether.
Yeah, so everybody, thank you, and God bless you and your families. And continue to think of Dominica, but put Dominica first. If you put Dominica first, your children will be okay. Your grandchildren will be okay. And that is what I'm thinking of every time. We being Dominicans first. Put the particulars on the side for the time, but Dominica needs us right now to move forward. And that's why I'm happy where I am in terms of the community that I am representing, South Coalition Monrachet, and also the party that I'm with. Thank you for that, and God bless you.
All right, thank you, Hector Spaggs John. And I must tell you, I think you did a splendid job in representing yourself here tonight and giving us a different view of who the person is, not the Facebook minister, or whatever it is they want to call you.
Facebook
but
parrot.
the wholesome
Yes.
Hector Spaggs John. So thank you for that as well.
Yes.
That is how we're going to wrap things up for tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show. We will be back next week, Monday. I did already have a guest scheduled for next week, Monday, but my guests are scheduled all the way towards the end of June. But there's somebody on island that I'm trying to see if I can probably do some switching around to make it happen, that I could have her on the program next week, Monday. So we'll see what happens with that. Thank you guys so much for your love, for your support. Those who stick around with us every Monday night, or those who go back on either YouTube or on Facebook to look at the programs. I think, sometimes a program ends with maybe 2,000 views, but by the time the week is over, we're at 5, we're at 6, we're at 7, and it means that people go back, even if they couldn't tune in with us live, they go back and they listen or view the program. So thank you, everyone. We'll be back here next week, Monday. As you leave us, run to YouTube, go to Fedina F. Frampton and subscribe and give us some support there as well. As to Hector has to carry down that big watermelon to the car for me definitely tonight. Thank you again, Mr. Frederick. Thank you, Hector, for that lovely gift. I will enjoy my watermelon. Some will be coming to work with me for snack tomorrow. Hey guys, have a good night and thank you again. Thank you, Sherwin. Thank you to the team here at Q95. That's a wrap for us for tonight.